Last time I saw Gladiator, I actually watched it in the Colosseum in Rome. And I actually got a little bit embarrassed that I'd received so much attention for that film. It's an incredible ensemble cast with beautiful performances from end to end.
What do Russell Crowe, Vin Diesel, and Jared Leto have in common? They're all actors who've earned a reputation for being nearly impossible to work with. And their on-set antics will leave you stunned. From explosive arguments with directors to bizarre behavior that creeped out their co-stars, these Hollywood stars have made a name for themselves as some of the most difficult people in the industry. Take Russell Crowe, for example. He's known for his exceptional performances, but did you know he once threatened to kill a producer on the set of Gladiator? Or the feud between Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson that became so toxic it changed the Fast and Furious franchise forever? But that's just the beginning. Which actor's behavior was so disruptive it got them fired? Let's find out. Russell Crowe's performance in Gladiator is legendary, but working with him? Not so much. Behind the scenes, Crowe was reportedly a nightmare for the production team, clashing with directors and threatening producers. One infamous story claims that Crowe told a producer on set, "I'll kill you with my bare hands." Crew members described the atmosphere as tense and uncomfortable, with many saying Crowe's arrogance made every day a challenge. Despite his behavior, Crowe's incredible performance earned him an Academy Award, cementing his reputation as one of Hollywood's most talented but volatile actors. But Crowe isn't the only star to cause chaos on set.
Why does The Rock and Vin Diesel hate each other? It all started in 2016 when The Rock posted a video to Instagram ranting about how unprofessional Diesel was during the filming of Fast and Furious. The Rock also said that if fans noticed him looking pissed off in Fast 8, he probably wasn't acting.
The next story involves two Hollywood heavyweights whose feud almost derailed an entire franchise. When two of the biggest names in action movies come together, you'd expect fireworks. But not the kind that happened behind the scenes of Fast and Furious. Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson's feud was so intense, it became impossible for them to even film scenes together. Dwayne Johnson, known for his professionalism, didn't hold back when he called out Diesel on Instagram, referring to him as unprofessional and too controlling. Sources claim Diesel had a habit of arriving late to set and clashing with directors over creative decisions. The tension eventually reached a breaking point, forcing producers to film their scenes separately. Johnson later stepped away from the main Fast and Furious franchise entirely, choosing to focus on his own spin-off, Hobbs and Shaw. But the drama didn't just hurt their working relationship, it left fans divided over who was really to blame. What do you think? Was Diesel's behavior justified? Or was Johnson right to call him out? Either way, this feud has gone down as one of Hollywood's most infamous. Jared Leto is known for his intense method acting, but many co-stars would argue that his antics crossed the line from dedication to downright discomfort.
Jared Leto has had an interesting career, to say the least. He's found massive success as both a singer and actor, including taking home an Oscar for his work in Dallas Buyers Club. He sold millions of albums as the frontman for 30 Seconds to Mars. He also maybe allegedly started a cult that holds summer camps for devotees. Allegedly.
During the filming of Suicide Squad, Leto's portrayal of the Joker became infamous. Not for his performance, but for the disturbing gifts he sent to his castmates. Margot Robbie, who played Harley Quinn, reportedly received a live rat from Leto in what he claimed was an attempt to build their character's dynamic. Will Smith, on the other hand, was sent bullets, and the entire cast received a dead pig during rehearsals. While Leto argued these stunts were part of immersing himself in the Joker's chaotic mindset, his co-stars were less than impressed. Many described his behavior as disruptive and unnecessary, with one crew member reportedly saying, "It felt more like a cry for attention than commitment to the role." And it's not just Suicide Squad where Leto's behavior raised eyebrows. On other sets, crew members and co-stars have described him as difficult to work with, citing his need to stay in character at all times, even when the cameras weren't rolling. Critics and fans alike have questioned whether his extreme methods add anything to his performances, or if they're just an excuse for attention-seeking behavior. Despite his odd antics, Leto continues to secure high-profile roles, but many in the industry admit they'd think twice before signing up to work with him.
Why do you think that romantic love and holiday movies work so well together?
Oh, because it's 'tis the season to be jolly, so it already comes with romance, like the holiday season, I think, and it's about bringing people together. And I think when you add romance to that, it's special in a different way.
Again, Lindsay Lohan's career has been a roller coaster, and unfortunately, her reputation on set is just as dramatic. Once considered one of Hollywood's most promising young stars, Lohan quickly became infamous for her unprofessional behavior, tardiness, and personal issues spilling over into her work. During the filming of Georgia Rule in 2007, Lohan's behavior was reportedly so problematic that the studio had to intervene. The film's producer famously sent her a public letter, calling her out for her irresponsible actions and warning her that her lack of professionalism could damage her career. Stories from the set include Lohan showing up late, or not at all, causing major delays and frustration among the cast and crew. Her chaotic behavior wasn't limited to Georgia Rule. On the set of The Canyons, co-workers claimed Lohan was a nightmare to deal with. Rumors swirled that she clashed with the director, missed rehearsals, and once locked herself in her trailer, refusing to come out for hours. The film's writer, Bret Easton Ellis, later admitted that working with Lohan was an incredibly stressful experience. Many producers now avoid casting her altogether, fearing the drama she might bring to their sets.
We are in my office.
Exactly.
And where do you sit in this craziness?
I'm up there above everyone.
And why are you up there?
Because nobody else wanted that office, apparently.
And because you run
That's right, I run
Yeah, I said it. I said It's like that. He runs it.
I run all this you know?
Thomas Gibson had a solid career as one of the leads on the hit TV series Criminal Minds, but his behavior on set ultimately led to his downfall. Known for playing the level-headed Aaron Hotchner, Gibson's off-screen actions were anything but calm. Tensions reportedly began to rise early in the show's run, with crew members describing Gibson as controlling and temperamental. However, things escalated to an entirely new level during the 12th season when Gibson had a physical altercation with one of the show's writers. According to reports, an argument over a script note turned into a heated confrontation, which resulted in Gibson kicking the writer. This incident was the breaking point for the production team. Gibson was initially suspended, but after further investigation, he was fired from the show entirely. His abrupt departure left fans stunned and forced the writers to rewrite significant storylines to explain his character's absence. Gibson later tried to defend his actions, claiming the situation was blown out of proportion. However, insiders from the set painted a different picture, describing him as difficult and prone to frequent clashes with both cast and crew. While Gibson's firing sent shockwaves through the Criminal Minds fanbase, it also served as a cautionary tale. No matter how central you are to a project, bad behavior can cost you everything.
But the real reason I'm so pro-neutering is I hate balls. I really do.
You're probably thinking, oh, she's just being cute. She must mean tennis balls or yoga balls. Nope, I mean testicles. Terrible, terrible testicles.
Katherine Heigl's rise to fame in the late 2000s seemed unstoppable. After starring in Grey's Anatomy and romantic comedies like Knocked Up, she was poised to become one of Hollywood's biggest stars. But behind the scenes, Heigl's reputation began to take a hit, one that she struggled to recover from ever since. The trouble began on the set of Grey's Anatomy, where Heigl publicly criticized the show's writing. In 2008, she famously withdrew her name from Emmy consideration, stating that the material she was given didn't warrant a nomination. This move reportedly infuriated the show's creator, Shonda Rhimes, and created tension between Heigl and the rest of the cast. Her reputation as a difficult actress followed her to other projects. During the filming of Knocked Up, Heigl openly criticized the movie in interviews, calling it sexist, and saying the female characters were portrayed as humorless. While her comments may have been valid to some, many in Hollywood saw them as unprofessional, especially since the film had been a major boost to her career. Behind the scenes, producers and directors began to describe Heigl as a diva, citing reports of her being demanding, difficult to please, and prone to questioning creative decisions. Her on-set behavior became so notorious that, in 2014, Shonda Rhimes openly admitted in an interview that she now avoids hiring actors with Heigl's reputation. Although Heigl has tried to repair her image with projects like Firefly Lane on Netflix, her history of clashing with colleagues has left a lasting impression in Hollywood. For many, she remains the quintessential example of how bad behavior can derail even the most promising career.
The cast, by the way, is minus Chevy, is so nice.
Wouldn't you like to have my opinion about what the rest of the cast is like?
There was an incident that happened.
What?
He made some remarks that were deemed to be racist.
Do you want to say that line again, you asshole?
Chevy Chase has long been considered a comedy icon, thanks to his legendary work on Saturday Night Live and classic films like National Lampoon's Vacation. But when it comes to working with him, many co-stars and crew members have a very different opinion. His time on the beloved sitcom Community became infamous for all the wrong reasons. Chase's clashes with the show's creator, Dan Harmon, and even his fellow cast members are now the stuff of Hollywood legend. Reports from the set described Chase as rude, dismissive, and frequently uncooperative, with Harmon even admitting that Chase would storm off set or refuse to do certain scenes entirely. The tension reached a boiling point when Harmon publicly called Chase out during a Community rap party, playing a recording of Chase berating him in front of the entire cast and crew. Instead of apologizing, Chase doubled down, referring to the show as a mediocre sitcom and walking away from the production. Eventually, Chase left Community, but his reputation as a difficult and toxic presence has lingered ever since. While Chase remains a comedy legend to fans, many in Hollywood now see him as a relic of the past, one that few are eager to work with. His time on the beloved sitcom Community became infamous for all the wrong reasons. Chase's clashes with the show's creator, Dan Harmon, and even his fellow cast members are now the stuff of Hollywood legend. Reports from the set described Chase as rude, dismissive, and frequently uncooperative, with Harmon even admitting that Chase would storm off set or refuse to do certain scenes entirely. The tension reached a boiling point when Harmon publicly called Chase out during a Community rap party, playing a recording of Chase berating him in front of the entire cast and crew. Instead of apologizing, Chase doubled down, referring to the show as a mediocre sitcom and walking away from the production. Eventually, Chase left Community, but his reputation as a difficult and toxic presence has lingered ever since. While Chase remains a comedy legend to fans, many in Hollywood now see him as a relic of the past, one that few are eager to work with.
With what you know about Shia now, what would you have done differently at the time?
I can't speak to what would have helped, but I know that if you would put 40-year-old Christy in 16-year-old Christy's body, I would give him a hug, like a big hug then, because he definitely needed one then.
Shia LaBeouf started his career as a promising young actor, but over the years, his off-screen behavior has overshadowed his talent. From on-set clashes to personal controversies, LaBeouf has built a reputation as one of Hollywood's most unpredictable and difficult actors. One of the most notorious incidents occurred during the filming of Lawless. Co-star Tom Hardy revealed that he and LaBeouf got into a physical altercation on set, with Hardy joking that LaBeouf knocked me out cold. While Hardy downplayed the seriousness of the fight, insiders claim it was part of a larger pattern of erratic behavior from LaBeouf, who was reportedly drinking heavily to stay in character. But the drama didn't stop there. On the set of Fury, LaBeouf took his method acting to extreme levels, reportedly refusing to shower for weeks to better embody his character. His co-stars, including Brad Pitt, were said to be disgusted by the stench, and crew members struggled to work around him. LaBeouf also reportedly pulled out one of his own teeth and insisted on having cuts and bruises inflicted on him to add realism to his performance. Despite his talent, LaBeouf's reputation as an unpredictable and volatile presence on set has kept him on the fringes of Hollywood in recent years. Whether he can make a full comeback remains to be seen. But for now, many in the industry view him as more trouble than he's worth. Bruce Willis is an undeniable action star, known for iconic roles in films like Die Hard and Pulp Fiction. But in recent years, his reputation has taken a hit. Not because of his acting talent, but because of his reportedly
breaking news out of Hollywood. Bruce Willis has announced he is stepping away from acting after being diagnosed with aphasia. The language disorder impacts a person's ability to communicate. The Mayo Clinic says it can affect one's ability to speak, write, and understand verbal and written language.
Difficult behavior on set. Directors and crew members have described Willis as increasingly uncooperative, with some accusing him of putting minimal effort into his performances. Kevin Smith, who directed Willis in Cop Out, didn't hold back in criticizing the actor. Smith called working with Willis soul-crushing and claimed the star was dismissive, refused to engage with the production, and made unreasonable demands. Other insiders have echoed similar sentiments, saying Willis often shows little interest in collaborating with his co-stars or directors. On smaller projects, crew members have claimed that Willis sometimes refuses to learn his lines, instead relying on earpieces to deliver dialogue fed to him in real time. While there's no denying Willis's contributions to Hollywood, his recent behavior has left many frustrated, with some calling him a shadow of his former self. In light of his recent health challenges, including his diagnosis of frontotemporal dementia, Some of this behavior is now being viewed through a more empathetic lens. Regardless, his legacy as an action icon is now complicated by a reputation for being difficult to work with in the later stages of his career. From Russell Crowe's temper to Katherine Heigl's diva demands, these stories paint a clear picture. Some of Hollywood's biggest stars have some of the worst reputations behind the scenes. But it raises an important question. Why does Hollywood continue to tolerate this kind of behavior? The answer often comes down to talent and box office draw. Many of these actors, despite their difficult reputations, are still seen as bankable stars who can bring in millions. For studios, that's often reason enough to put up with the chaos. However, as Hollywood evolves, the industry is becoming less forgiving. Social media and tabloid culture have made it harder for actors to hide their behavior, and fans are increasingly holding celebrities accountable for their actions. Careers that might have survived bad behavior a decade ago are now more likely to crumble under public scrutiny. So, while some actors continue to thrive despite their reputations, others, like Thomas Gibson or Lindsay Lohan, serve as cautionary tales of how bad behavior can derail even the most promising careers. What do you think? Should Hollywood continue to tolerate actors who make life difficult for everyone around them? Or is it time for the industry to finally put professionalism over star power? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories from Hollywood's wildest sets.